tonight. People in Saskatchewan react as we wait for official approval of the Hamas-Israel ceasefire in Gaza. 2 women on trial in Saskatchewan in the death of Megan Gallagher enter surprise guilty pleas to lesser charges. We look at the needs and potential future of the Regina Floral Conservatory.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, January 16th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Thanks for joining us. We start with the latest in Gaza. The Israeli cabinet will meet Friday on the ceasefire agreement. It now appears likely to approve it. There was some question earlier about whether it would proceed, but a reported dispute between Israel and Hamas over the terms seems to have been resolved. That means the first phase of the agreement remains set to begin on Sunday. Satra Petrusik has more.
The ceasefire deal seemed to be on again, off again most of the day today. The Israelis complaining that Hamas had raised last-minute demands that were unreasonable. Hamas saying that it did not do that and that, in fact, it was going by the agreement that was announced yesterday. But in the end, it looks as though the ceasefire deal is back on track. Israel is now going through the process of getting cabinet approval and getting the approval of the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. There is an issue there, though, because Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been under pressure from a couple of the far-right hardline parties in his own coalition. They have said that they don't want this ceasefire deal, that they want to continue fighting. But it does seem as though Netanyahu is going to go ahead. And there's been a lot of pressure from the American side to keep that on track.
On the ceasefire, yes, I am confident, and I fully expect that implementation will begin, as we said, on Sunday.
The schedule is like this. On Sunday, 5 female soldiers, Israeli soldiers, who have been held hostage in Gaza for the past 15 months, will be the first to be released. After that, a number of other things will start to take place in the territory and outside as well. The Israeli military is supposed to pull back to the borders. Aid agencies are supposed to be able to ramp up the amount of aid that they've been able to get in. Also, there have been these lists of Palestinian prisoners being held by Israel in its jails. Well, over 1,000 of these are scheduled to be released in exchange for the hostages, the 33 hostages who are going to be released over the next 6 weeks. And all of that is going to be a very complex process, and that is just the first phase of a much more complicated and even longer process, a 3-phase process that will take weeks after that. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Now, while that agreement is still being worked out, reaction to the ceasefire has been coming in swift, and that includes those in this province who have personal ties to the region. Jeffrey Tram has that part of the story.
Here in Saskatchewan, the ceasefire talks have some feeling cautious and uncertain.
Tough year, 2024 was a very tough year for the Palestinians who are under genocide in Gaza.
Alwyn says her family in Gaza is still struggling to cope with the aftermath of the conflict.
All the neighborhood was demolished, and so they have to search for their houses. The location of it, actually. Some of them, they have to go and bury their beloved one.
But the destruction in Gaza has left scars and skepticism.
Gaza has been destroyed completely. No hospitals, no universities are left. Hospitals have been bombed. Genocide have been committed. People died because of hunger. And if now Israel goes back to the blockade, then we haven't learned anything from the conflict. And all this bloodshed has been shed for nothing.
Jewish communities in Saskatchewan are also reflecting on the ceasefire with mixed emotions.
Wishing that all of this could have happened much earlier. And at the same time, a little reservation.
Still, Parn says finding common ground is key to moving forward.
What the resolution needs to be for Palestinians, for Israelis in the region, as it relates from my perspective anyway, in form of peaceful coexistence.
For Alwyn, the hope is that people worldwide see the situation in Gaza as a lesson and a call for peace.
Carry peace and justice to all the world, not only Palestinians, all the people who are oppressed around the world.
It's a sentiment echoed by many that while the fighting may have stopped, the road to healing and rebuilding is only beginning. Jeffrey Tram, CBC News, Regina.
A major twist in a Saskatoon murder trial. Cheyenne Petatus and Summer Sky Henry were originally charged with first-degree murder for the killing of Megan Gallagher in 2020. But today, they pleaded guilty to a lesser charge. Megan Gallagher's family and friends were at court Thursday morning for the second week of the 8-week trial, but instead of hearing from witnesses and evidence, they watched the two accused plead guilty to manslaughter. Megan's dad, Brian, says they had no idea the guilty pleas were coming. They're still trying to process what happened in court.
I was sick to the stomach. I've got a strong stomach, but this one has really got me. Yeah. I guess we just have to wait and see where it all falls out.
The Crown and defense say they will be making a joint sentencing submission. That will happen next Wednesday. A Saskatchewan woman responsible for a fatal crash in October is planning to plead guilty to some charges related to what happened. A mother and her daughter were killed when Brittany Berry drove the wrong way onto Highway 11 and hit their SUV. Dane Patterson has more.
33-year-old Brittany Berry is expected to plead guilty to dangerous driving causing death and bodily harm. Her lawyer told the provincial court on Thursday that Berry plans to enter her guilty pleas during her next court appearance.
It was important for the accused to, if she can save the victims in this case and those affected through a prolonged process, that was certainly part of her priorities.
Police say Berry was driving impaired on the wrong side of Highway 11 north of Dundurn when the crash happened. 2 of her children were in the vehicle as well. Her truck slammed head-on into an SUV, killing 2 women, Laura and Jamie Hanna, who were on their way to a family event in Moose Jaw. The family of the victims were in court Thursday. Pfefferly says there are expected to be more than 20 victim impact statements read at Berry's sentencing. Berry is expected to formally make her guilty pleas on March 14th. A dozen other counts, including criminal negligence and impaired driving causing death, are expected to be stayed.
There's a lot of litigation risk involving complicated charges, and impaired driving charges, criminal negligence charges are some of the most complicated offenses in the criminal code. And as a result of that, there's lots of various issues that can arise in these cases.
Pfefferly says the defense and Crown are expected to provide a joint sentencing submission to the court. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A suspect is now in custody, charged with second-degree murder in Saskatoon's 8th homicide of last year. 28-year-old Aaron Lakota Ironstand appeared in provincial court Thursday morning. It's alleged he killed 25-year-old Cade Lee last spring. Lee was shot on the sidewalk outside a church on 20th Street in Saskatoon. He was one of 15 people who died in that city in homicides last year. Meanwhile, another murder suspect is behind bars after being captured by Winnipeg police. Daniel Yuma Atem was on the 25 most wanted list compiled by BOLO, a program that helps police find suspects. He made his first court appearance Thursday morning in Manitoba and is being transported back to Regina. The 31-year-old is charged with first-degree murder in the shooting death of 32-year-old Roman Miller in July of 2023. The official opposition is calling for the provincial government to be transparent about how it lobbied around the acquisition of Viterra by U.S. company Bunge. The $8.2 billion deal was cleared by the federal government this week. It's being criticized by the province's agriculture sector, who say it raises issues of competitiveness. And on Thursday, the Saskatchewan NDP revealed that former MP Monty Solberg was hired by Bunge to lobby the government on the deal. Records show Solberg donated $6,500 to the Sask party between 2020 and 2022.
The only evidence that we have is that the guy lobbying the Sask party was also giving money to the Sask party. So If the Premier wants to detail who he met with, why, and what was discussed, and how this is a good deal for Saskatchewan, I sincerely look forward to hearing his response on that.
The NDP says the deal should never have been approved. The province says it is still evaluating the conditions of the sale, which does include keeping Viterra's headquarters in Regina for at least 5 years. The government says the lobbying was all above board. Well, there's some happy ducks and geese out and about on Wascana Lake in Regina. A warmer day, cracking over the freezing mark, but it's going to be a few days before we're this comfortable outside again. And more snow on the agenda too. Ethan Williams will have more in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. In the cold days of winter, Regina's Floral Conservatory offers a tropical escape, but it needs a new building. And despite years of preparation, there's still much to be done to make it happen. Ethan Williams reports.
Pamela Kovacs enjoys practicing yoga inside the Regina Floral Conservatory. She teaches a popular class here once a month, but the space can be an issue.
We work around the plants and the display, and we do have some drips from the ceiling that I warn people about.
The 60-year-old building is showing its age and is too small for its growing number of visitors.
We've had over 3,000 school-aged children here each year, and in our back room, we physically don't even have room for them anymore. We would like to have more programs, but we don't have the space.
A new conservatory has been part of Wascana Centre's master plan for nearly 20 years, and this site between the park's tree nursery and Wascana Rehab Centre was agreed on. Fundraising for that space started in 2019, with a plan to get building as early as 2023. But the pandemic delayed that, and inflation increased building costs by over $25 million.
So we're actually looking at our conceptual design to see what we can do to bring that cost down, looking at the types of materials, because some of the materials that they used were fairly new to the industry and stuff like that.
That could also mean downsizing greenhouse and multi-purpose space. With $300,000 raised, the conservatory board is now looking for corporate money and government ownership.
Across Canada, just about all the conservatories are either owned by the city or owned by the government. And so that's our hope, is that we will follow suit in Saskatchewan.
Jane Gattinger says her 90-year-old mother perks up after visiting the conservatory. She's interested in what the new space could offer.
I don't think that would be a problem as long as the parking is just as easily accessible, and I really like that lower income families are able to utilize this because there isn't a specific charge. It's just by donation only.
But Gattinger and her mother will continue to enjoy the conservatory's current location until the new building is ready. Ethan Williams, CBC News, Regina.
A family from Witchican Lake First Nation living in California is on their way back to Saskatchewan as crews continue to fight wildfires. Samuel Tippewan is a film student at the New York Film Academy. He says wind spread the wildfire so quickly, and when the wildfire reached the Hollywood Hills, it caused, quote, pandemonium.
To get the word that our hill was on fire, I was in disbelief that I had to go and look at it myself. And when I got up to the roof, I seen other people standing on the roof too. And we're all kind of taking our videos, recording it. And you could just see it starting to spread. And we're just kind of talking to each other, like, because we got the amber or the alert to evacuate. So we're talking amongst ourselves, like, are you going to evacuate? Or like, man, we'd rather be safe than sorry, because there were people who got caught in the fire in the Palisades that were updating from their phone. And, you know, we didn't want to be those people getting caught in the fire too. So we made sure to just pack like a few belongings and just get out of there. You know, there was adrenaline flowing through our blood because there were so many other people trying to get out at the same time. And the streets were full. And it was hard to just stay calm because there were people running like the red lights to try and to beat us. And I was just staying calm because I didn't want to get into an accident. So, yeah, it was a chain of, it was a roller coaster of emotions to be out there that I had a discussion with my fiance and my kids, and they didn't feel safe being out there. So we're like, well, let's leave the city for a little while, let's just leave. And because there's so much toxic, toxicity in the air still out there, that we were told to stay indoors. So we're like, let's just leave. Let's go visit our family back home. It was almost a pandemic kind of feeling again. When the pandemic hit, everybody was fearful, and that was the same fear that we experienced. So it made us just want to be, closer to our community and our family.
And our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. It seemed like a melty day, but what happens in Regina is not what's happening everywhere else.
No, isn't that the truth? And quite the opposite story if you're further north. We've had quite a bit of snow and some wind really across the province. And in fact, the watch warning map definitely showing us all different kinds of colors as we've headed through Thursday here. Snowfall warnings in place for the Churchill region and have dropped into the northern grain belt as we've kind of headed through the day here into south and central, much of the rest of south and central anyway. It's blowing snow advisories as we're not expecting as much snow as areas further north, but that's going to get caught up in some pretty strong winds. Wind warnings that were in place for the southwest corner, though, have now come to an end. But it has been a day of some pretty strong gusts at times and into the 70, maybe even 80 kilometer an hour range in some locations throughout south and central today. You see those patches of red there. That's where we've really started seeing those pick up. And you can see that the system also starting to play with our temperatures because behind the warm front, we've gotten well above the freezing mark, nearly 10 degrees today in Maple Creek. And then as you move up further north, that's where those temperatures are, cooler temperatures are starting to move in behind the cold front from this system. So as we head through the remainder of Thursday and into Friday, the snow is going to start to taper off as it moves south. But keep in mind that this is quite a bit of blowing snow, so highway conditions not going to be great for the commute as we head into Friday through the southern half of the province. A little bit more snow possible as we get into the early part of Saturday morning in southwestern Saskatchewan. And then we have not one, but two areas of high pressure kind of following the kind of path of each other, very similar paths. And that's what's bringing down that Arctic air. That is also what's going to be clearing the skies, of course. So into northern Saskatchewan again, I think it's only just a few more centimeters, especially kind of into eastern sections there. But for south and central, really the area that we're watching is east central Saskatchewan, maybe another 5 to 10 centimeters as we get through the day Friday. But for most of the rest of us, again, a smattering of maybe 2 to 4 centimeters in central regions, 1 to 3 through the southern part of the province. And again, the winds gusting over 70 still possible overnight, especially as we get into southeastern Saskatchewan. Friday afternoon, those start to taper off in western sections of the province, but still breezy. Even as we get into Saturday, still a little bit windy, but you can really see where that high pressure works its magic as it starts calming those wind gusts down. But with just a little bit of wind, we're really going to be seeing those wind chills start to drop even closer to that minus 40 mark during the daytime over the weekend. A sharp warm up, though, come Tuesday for many of us. Saskatoon, again, we're one of the locations that's going to see temperatures actually drop through the day Friday, landing around minus 17 or so. And then a chilly, frigid weekend and into next week. The sunshine remains and we get some warmer temperatures. So we'll focus on these temperatures, Sam, instead of maybe these ones.
No, thank you, Ethan.
What can I say? I'm sorry.
Thanks.
You bet.
The City of Regina has released a proposed vision for the future of Scarth Street Mall, and it does not include cars. The corridor between 11th and 12th is a long-time pedestrian walkway, and it'll stay that way. The city also plans to improve safety, cleanliness, and accessibility. You're invited to share feedback before February 4th. We'll be back after the break. Former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney has officially entered the Liberal leadership race. He announced it in Edmonton, the city where he grew up. And invoking his childhood hockey playing days, he made this bold promise.
And I'm coming into this match, coming into this game, knowing that we are well behind. But we're getting warmed up. We're going to head out in that third period, and we're going to win.
Carney also took direct aim at Pierre Poilievre, saying the Conservative leader was offering a platform of three-word slogans. Carney didn't spare the current government either, saying it's allowed its focus to wander from the economy too often. Ethan's back with one last look at your weather. Any hockey puns you'd like to use?
We're not going to shoot or score on any of these temperatures tonight because I think we're in for a losing streak and when it comes to our forecast the next few days here. Windy overnight through much of south and central. Temperatures hanging around that -10 mark or so as we get into northern Saskatchewan. Again, into the Churchill region again. This is, I think, where we're going to see the snow come to an end. The same with east central Saskatchewan, but skies clearing and those temperatures dropping into the far north by the time we get into Friday afternoon with some wind. That's going to feel like -40 in portions of the far north. We'll get some clearing skies and those dropping temperatures into the Churchill region. South and central going to see the temperatures drop through the day Friday as well. Back into the mid-teens. Sunshine begins to move through central Saskatchewan and into the south by the afternoon. But you see those winds still strong at times into Regina and the southeast. Sam, we can expect those still in the range of about 50 to 60 kilometers an hour.
Such a smile on your face as you say that.
That's right.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And before we go, Rider fans can start planning their summer holidays. The CFL has released its 2025 schedule. For the first time in Rider history, the team will start and finish the CFL season with home games. Week 1 kicks off against Ottawa June 5th at Mosaic Stadium. It is the only Thursday night game. The Labor Day Classic will be played August 31st, and the team will mark byes in weeks 5, 10, and 16. The regular season closes when BC comes to Regina October 25th, and then the Grey Cup will be played Sunday, November 16th in Winnipeg. And that's it from us. For more news anytime, head to cbc.ca/Sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. You can also download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks for watching.